Alright, I'm going to give this a shot. Camera's on a stick that's kind of pivoting around, so that's not helping very much. And I don't think this is going to give everyone accurate setup information for this chassis, unfortunately, because it's all body specific. And you'll see right here, this car's not even done. I don't have the over fenders or the wide body on the front or rear of it in any way. So the car's going to change, but just for fun, since everybody has seen this thing absolutely slaying, let's get a couple settings outlined for everybody. Make sure the caliper's at 0. Upper front control arms. This is also going to double as a recheck of my setup to make sure everything's holding. I've seen a handful of people have issues with the control arms moving under small hits and things like that, so, or regular use. So we're going to see if that's happened. And I do remember that's actually accurate. So my top links were 5.1 or 5. This says 509, but I mean, a tenth of a millimeter variance isn't that big. That was just literally, I can barely touch the knob and change that. The upper right is the same, so 510 for the exposed amount of rod on your upper link. Let's move to the bottom. We have yep, I remember that being right too, and it's the same 320 on the bottom. Your rear, actually I remember this right here is 0.2 of a millimeter. I think that is actually factory. I mean, you barely just see the silver of the rod behind this black rod end sticking out of the lower control arm. Rear toe rods. Granted, this is a version 1, but remember, if you take your brackets on V2 and flip them around, they'll be in nearly the same position. So don't take these measurements exactly if you're running a V2 with flipped brackets, but you'll be in the ballpark. In between the rod ends, 1 second. We're looking at 2.4. Yep, between the rod ends, and that's consistent side to side. Then I need to give you the upper rear. Whoops. And then we'll move to the steering turnbuckles. I forgot about the steering turnbuckles. The rear upper control arms are 2.8. Yep. So your uppers, make sure you have 2.8 millimeter exposed. And then, I should have already done this, but let's move back up here to the front. And we are at 10.9. Yeah. 1 second, let me see it in the light, guys. Yeah, we're at 10.9 on your turnbuckles. So, and then the shocks, you'll see this car is like super loose. I borderline need to stiffen the springs when I add the battery to the car, but the back is just super soft. And 1 second, that is the black springs with the collar adjusted all the way to the top. And then your fronts, I have the silver springs on the front with no adjustable collar at all. And that's only because this body's not detailed yet. There's going to be a couple grams added to this. And I'm noticing the more I drive the car and kind of wear in the front springs, what was working for me just a session or two ago is now not working for me. Because, like, I drifted the car today with 0 issues and it was good. But I noticed right before I started doing this video, popped the battery in it, popped the body on it. She's on the ground, dudes. So those springs have kind of loosened up a little bit, so I'm going to add a little tension to the rear, and I'm probably going to add the adjustable collars back to the front and then leave them all the way up. But yeah, I mean, you guys have seen video of the car. It didn't run any different today, so I don't know if the springs just happened, or maybe it's this table it's sitting on, or what's going on, but like, this thing ran perfectly fine today, just like it has in all of the other videos you've seen. I hope this helps a little bit. I doubt it, but let's hope that this does help and you can get some kind of performance out of your ride. And then right here, my Ackerman adjustment, almost forgot about that. It's literally all the way to the front, except for you can see about 1/10 of a millimeter of the slot before the screw, so it's almost bottomed out that way. So, and I mean and when you press on the suspension, it kind of changes a little bit. But I mean, the car has excellent steering. It doesn't crab walk. Everything's good. Like, the only complaint I have about this car is it's too heavy to be competitive. And I say that lightly because the car is incredibly competitive. But if I could put an aluminum chassis, cough cough, on this car and lighten it up a little bit, you're going to see this thing not have to take that extra split second into the turn, floating it in to let it settle. The car is just going to be right on the money, and you're going to be back on gas that half second to a second faster, making this even more deadly than it already is. Outside of that, I mean, I had the typical screws loosening up in version 1 problems and all that stuff. I got around that. Loctite everything into place, adjust your ride height so the rear diff doesn't explode out of it, and you're pretty much good to go. When I get some time behind a V2, I'll update everybody on my setup there, and when I get the camber gauge printed, I'm going to give everybody front and rear camber like actual numbers as well. Thanks for watching.